If you've been hanging out with us here on CoastLife long enough, you know we've introduced you to several of our radio stations, and one of those is, of course, Big 107.7, a classic rock station, and we've got Steve Monz from the Rock Shop with Steve Monz joining us today. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
You haven't been here solo before.
I haven't, and I think this is the first time I'm not actually in costume.
I think so too, yeah. Last time we were talking the big green giveaway.
Yep.
And so you had you were all decked out.
I was. I had my St. Patrick's Day attire on, the full suit, the tails, everything.
Okay, so it's been a minute. And in the time between then and now, if you didn't know, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes nonsense that goes on in the production of radio. I got my start in radio, so I'm intimately familiar with all of that nonsense and shenanigans. But sometimes it's your best content.
Right, absolutely.
And you guys have started a podcast that includes all of our radio stations and the cast of characters that make them so special.
It's really kind of neat. It came out of that. You know where we work. It's it's kind of like we call it like a bullpen area where there's a lot of different talent.
They have sequestered the radio team from everyone else.
It's for good reason, actually.
Yes.
But the conversations we have off air are hilarious because it's usually people testing out material, whether they know it or not, for what they're going to say on the air. And so we decided this should be a podcast. This would be entertaining. So that's kind of how it sprouted out.
Yes.
And so each week it features different people, whoever happens to be available that day from various radio stations. And sometimes we pull in folks from TV, like we had you and Paige on.
Yeah, Paige and I got a chance to go in a few weeks ago. It was so much fun. And the format of the podcast is basically you're pulling questions. Well, first of all, the podcast is called Out of the Bag.
Right, right.
And basically it's where Steve pulls questions out of a bag and you got to answer them.
Right, and we get questions. I come up with some of them. Listeners will send them in. You can actually send them to smonz@wboc.com.
Perfect.
And nobody knows what the questions are going to be until I start reading them. And sometimes they're behind the scenes things. Sometimes they're just weird things, just what if questions. But it's fun. It kind of reveals a little bit more about everyone's personality.
Yeah, I think we had talked, I know we talked ghosts. We talked like something that's maybe the general listeners or viewers don't know about you. And I think we ended with something good that happened that week.
Yes.
So
every episode ends with what was the best thing you heard this week.
Yes, that's right.
And it's kind of a positive, lifting up kind of thing. And it's really interesting to see around the room, everybody has something different.
It is. Stinson on 102.5 WBOC. He's hard to beat with the sentimental answers. He was given gold husband material answers all day.
And that's what I love about it, because each week it's a different cast of characters. Some people are still the same, but it gives you different age perspectives, different, just completely different walks of life. So it's kind of cool.
It's really fun. It's definitely something that if you're a big fan of our radio stations, or you're just looking for a little something to listen to while you're getting on with your workday, something great to just kind of have on in the background and play along.
Now, the one we did today, which is available now, downloadable, is we had David Scott, who is the new anchor for WBOC News. And he's fresh in from all across the country, and so we learned a lot about him and his background and things like that. So
people have to check that out. Where?
Oh, easily to find. You can find us on Spotify, or you can find us on Apple iTunes, or on any of our radio station websites. Like if you go to bigclassicrock.com, click on podcasts.
There you
go.
It's
right there.
So make sure you check it out, and if you find that you've got some questions for the team, make sure you send them in. Your email again?
smonz@wboc.com.
Perfect, and give the podcast a listen and let us know what you think. But for now, we've got some more Coast Life to get to. When we get back, we're talking the Shore Living Expo, which is an event you're not going to want to miss.